எல்லோருக்கும் வணக்கம். நான் மகாலட்சுமி சரவணன், ஃபவுண்டர் ஆஃப் விமன் ஆண்டர்பிரினர்ஸ் இந்தியா. இன்னைக்கு விமன் ஆண்டர்பிரினர்ஸ் இந்தியாவுடைய மும்பை அண்ட் புனே லான்ச் இப்போ ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகிட்டு இருக்கு. அண்ட் செல்வையுடைய 7th எடிஷன். செல்வை அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து எங்களுடைய எக்ஸிபிஷன் ஈவெண்ட். இதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இந்த பேண்டமிக்கு முன்னாடி நம்ம வந்து ஒரு 4 ஈவெண்ட்ஸ் ஃபிசிக்கலாக பண்ணியிருந்தோம். அண்ட் இப்போ வந்து கடந்த 3 ஸ்ட்ரீம்ஸ் வந்து லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீம் போச்சு செல்வையுடைய எக்ஸிபிஷன்ஸ். எல்லா வியூவர்ஸுமே வந்து ரொம்ப அப்ரிஷியேட் பண்ணியிருந்தாங்க. பிகாஸ் லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீம்ல பார்த்தப்போ எல்லாருமே ரொம்ப ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு, வி வாண்ட் டு பை, அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு இம்பாக்ட் வந்து கொடுத்துருது இந்த லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீம் ஷாப்பிங். ஸோ எங்களுக்கு என்னன்னா இந்த விமன் ஆண்டர்பிரினர்ஸ் இந்தியாவுடைய இந்த செல்வை எக்ஸிபிஷன் வந்துட்டு நிறைய பீப்புளுக்கு வந்து ரீச் ஆயிருக்கு. அண்ட் வி ஹேட் எக்ஸிபிட்டர்ஸ் அக்ராஸ் இந்தியா. ஸோ இன்னைக்கு அஜெண்டா பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நம்மளோட நிறைய ஸ்பீக்கர்ஸ் இருக்காங்க. ஸோ ஸ்பீக்கர்ஸ் உடைய நேம்ஸ் நான் சொல்றேன் நான். We have Ms. Vidula Kanitkar of Think Creative Ad Solutions, and Payal Parik of A&B Legal, and Deepali Meher, she's an artist, and Sudeepta Sanyal of the Blueberry Trails, and Leena, she is running Leena R Enterprises. So inniki in the WEI launch event in Mumbai and Pune, நிறைய speaker sessions and மத்தியானத்துக்கு மேல லைவ் ஸ்ட்ரீம் ஷாப்பிங் செஷன்ஸ் போக போகுது. We have about 16+ exhibitors across India. So I wish all the exhibitors great success. அண்ட் எங்களுடைய ஸ்பீக்கர்ஸ் அத்தனை பேருக்கும் என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகள். ஏன்னா எல்லாமே அவங்க பிஸி ஸ்கெடியூலில் வந்து டைம் எடுத்து வந்திருக்காங்க. ஸோ ஒவ்வொருத்தருமே அவங்க டொமைன்ல வந்து எக்ஸ்பர்ட்ஸ். ஸோ இன்னைக்கு லீகல் ஆஸ்பெக்ட் பற்றி, பிராண்டிங் பற்றி, டிராவல் இண்டஸ்ட்ரி எப்படி போயிட்டு இருக்குங்கிறது பற்றி, எப்படி ஆர்டிஸ்ட் எல்லாம் வந்து சேலஞ்சிங் சுச்சுவேஷன்ஸ் வந்து ஃபேஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க, எப்படி ஓவர் கம் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க, இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய விஷயங்கள் வந்து நம்ம கூட இன்னைக்கு ஸ்பீக்கர் ஷேர் பண்ண இருக்காங்க. ஸோ விமன் ஆண்டர்பிரினர்ஸ் இந்தியா எல்லா வியூவர்ஸையும் எல்லா எக்ஸிபிட்டர்ஸையுமே வந்து வரவேற்கிறோம். அண்ட் ஸ்பீக்கர்ஸ்க்கும் ஸ்பெஷல் வெல்கம். ஸோ இது வரைக்கும் நான் ஏன் தமிழில் பேசுறேன்னு கேட்டிங்கன்னா, ஏன் லான்ச் ஆஃப் WEI மும்பை அண்ட் பூனேல தமிழ்ல பேசுறீங்கன்னு யோசிச்சிருக்கலாம் நிறைய பேர். சின்ன கிராமத்துல பிறந்து இன்னைக்கு இந்த அளவுக்கு வந்து வளர்ந்துருக்கேனாக்கா இட்ஸ் பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் த கமிட்மெண்ட், கன்சிஸ்டன்சி அண்ட் ஹார்ட் ஒர்க். ஸோ இதெல்லாம் வந்து நீங்க நினைச்சா பண்ண முடியும், ஒரு லாங்குவேஜ் தெரியல அப்படியெல்லாம் இல்லாம நீங்க வந்து டெஃபினட்டா முயற்சி எடுத்தா டெஃபினட்டா உங்களை நல்லா பண்ண முடியும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக நான் தமிழ்ல ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணேன். ஸோ இப்போ நம்மளுடைய மும்பை அண்ட் புனே ஆடியன்ஸ்க்கு நான் இங்கிலீஷ்ல பேச போறேன். வெல்கம் ஆல் த வியூவர்ஸ் ஆஃப் மும்பை அண்ட் புனே. We are so happy to launch WEI and Mumbai, WEI in Mumbai and Pune. I'm so thrilled because we were thinking of launching Women Entrepreneurs India in Mumbai and Pune for about 5 years, but finally it is happening and we are so excited. We do have a lot of exhibitors joining us from Mumbai and Pune today. I wish this journey is going to be a fruitful one for all of us. So let us think positive and let us believe in ourselves and never give up on a dream even if the progress is slow. So let us quickly start the program. So let's invite our speakers. Over to you, Nancy. You can go ahead. Welcome our speaker, Vidula.
Yes, ma'am. Vidula Kothari is the founder and director of Think Creative AD Solutions PVT Limited. She has 19 years of industry experience. Vidula ma'am started the company Think Creative AD Solutions PVT Limited along with Nikhil Kothari in 2002. She has been featured as a young entrepreneur on ETV with exclusive half-an-hour interview. She has been featured in a book on women entrepreneurship called Superwomen by Prachi Garg. She has been recognized among the most promising creative agency of 2017 by Silicon India. She has been featured in Bombay Times as the successful edition. Over to you, ma'am.
Welcome, Vidula. Before you start, let me quickly recall our meet in Mumbai. You know, I was invited at World Trade Center, Mumbai back, I think in 2015. And that's when we got connected. And our first Yeah, I think there was an interruption. So you were our first member from Mumbai area, and you have been with us for the past few years. And I'm really glad that you are running your Think Creative Ad Solutions Private Limited in a successful way, along with your partners. And I wish Think Creative Ad Solutions a great success. And we are so so happy with this. And we would like to know more about branding and how people can position their brands. Because when it comes to branding, not many people know the importance of branding, be it your personal branding or your company's branding. People don't tend to give a lot of importance to branding. Since we have a lot of entrepreneurs in our network, I would always insist that branding is very important, and I'm happy that we have the right person today to share views on branding. Thank you, Vidula, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Mahav and Nancy, for this wonderful introduction. And first of all, I would like to start with congratulating Women Entrepreneurs India for such a great benchmark they're launching in Mumbai and Pune. I remember our conversation, with Mahav about 5 to 6 years back when, they were just about starting. And now, I mean, it was a small seed, and now it's like a huge tree with so many branches, out there. And I'm really, really happy to be associated with Women Entrepreneurs India. I was one of the very first women who was featured on their website, and I'm really happy and proud to be associated with Women Entrepreneurs India. Thank you.
Yeah, Nancy, please continue.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
So, Nancy,
Ma'am,
you would
my
want?
first question
Yeah.
is, what do's and don'ts? Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am,
yes,
please.
I can hear you, Nancy.
Question is, ma'am, what while formulating and
I'm not able to hear you, Nancy. Can you be a little clearer? Or there's some network issue?
can you hear me now, ma'am?
Yes,
Can
yes.
you
Now I
hear
can
me
hear
now?
you. Yes, yes.
So my question is, what do's and don'ts would you suggest businesses while formulating an advertising or marketing plan, ma'am?
Sure, sure. Thank you, Nancy, for this question. So here it's like branding is one of the very, very, very important and a very key aspect in any of the business. If you are a startup or if you are already an established business, branding is the most important element that you need to have in place. I would have certain do's and don'ts that I want to discuss here. When it comes to branding, the very first one being. You have a brand promise, right? So whatever you have promised to deliver, so you got to deliver that vision through your brand promise to your end consumers, which is very, very important. And at the same time, while you're delivering that, the don'ts are you should not forget about your brand, the overall brand image that you're creating for your company. So it both goes hand in hand. You need to have a clear vision of what you want to communicate, uh, what is your brand promise, and creating an overall brand image is very important for your company. So this is one of the tip that I would like to give. Something else at the same time, see, right now we all have passed through a situation, we are still going through a situation of pandemic, and a lot of businesses have taken a hit. But I would like to suggest that do not stop communicating with your customers. Please continuously keep doing that, whether it is a small budget or a big budget or whatever you can in your space. Never give up on communicating with your customers. Now, when I'm saying customers, I'm talking about the right target audience. I'm not talking about anybody and everybody. So firstly, you need to kind of identify your correct target audience, and based on that, you need to have a good communication plan that can be executed and explained well through whatever communications and mediums that you follow. Okay. uh, Another don't in this is do not try to hard sell. So stick to what your basics are, your core values are, your brand promises, and do not hard sell anything at this point of time, because not just at this point of time, but generally, you stick to what your promise is, and do not try to hard sell your product or service. Another very important tip or a do that I would like to tell you is social media is obviously the primary tool to be used right now, because that's the way forward. We are moving towards. We've already moved towards the digital India, and that's the way forward. So going digital, social media promotions are important, but a don't in this is do not blindly follow any kind of a package that any agency or anybody is offering you, because please understand that every brand is different and unique, and it needs to be addressed differently. It cannot have a set package that, okay, this is the thing and this is what you got to follow and generalize it. It cannot work like that, because your target audience is different. So every brand has its unique USP, unique target audience, and so it has to be dealt differently. So please don't go in for these ready packages that you get, and a lot of agencies, a lot of social media agencies are offering these packages. So please think twice, understand, strategize, and then kind of get into any kind of a commitment with any partner or a creative agency that you would want to go ahead with. Any further questions, Nancy? You can go ahead.
Let me ask the next question, Vidula. I think she has some technical issues. So I just
Okay.
want to understand
Yes,
how can.
thank you for that tip, ma'am. I think
Go ahead, Nancy.
yes, ma'am. Thank you for that answer, ma'am. I think all the persons who are in business would have got an insight about what to do and what to not. My next question is, ma'am, what inspired you to establish Think Creative?
Yes. So thank you for that question, Nancy. I was always inspired by entrepreneurship, and I knew right from the beginning somewhere that I want to do something on my own. So I was actually an entrepreneur at the age of 22. I started my company along with my partner Nikhil Kuthare and Hitesh Samir in 2002. When I was just about 22, and we used to look pretty young, and people actually were scared to give us work. But we kind of sailed through that entire period as a startup. And now here we are. It's been our 18th year now. We've entered our 19th year, and so one thing that I feel, I have that passion for entrepreneurship, which actually made me start my business at a very very early stage, and always wanted to do something in the communication space. I was always inspired by brands, and I was always inspired. I used to always look up to what is the communication that brands are doing, and that since my childhood have always been inspired to do something. And that was like a kickstart, I would say, to start my own company so early.
I think that would be an inspirational talk for the young entrepreneurs out there, ma'am. So, my next question is, ma'am, how can small business create visibility or establish themselves as a brand, ma'am?
Okay, so whether I don't think whether you're big or small matters. I think what is most important is what is your thought behind it? What is your basic thought behind starting your business? What is it that you want to achieve, and what is your brand promise? That is something, your vision, mission, your brand promise has to be very, very clear. If you're clear at that, then obviously all the other things start falling in place. So, you could use, so whether there are different tools available, obviously you can use various, like social media is one of the tool that I mentioned right now. But yes, there are traditional mediums which also can be used. It's I feel mediums comes a little later. What you're communicating is most important. So you could create a small post, or you could create a 5 centimeter ad, but with an effective message, which can actually, take your product from nowhere to somewhere, So what you're communicating is more important, and with the right medium and the right channel, you should be able to, get there. So I feel more than the mediums, for small entrepreneurs, there are a lot of mediums available. More important is what you communicate is something you need to focus on first.
Okay, ma'am. So my next question is, what media planning and marketing strategies should business come up with to maintain consistency in a good brand image, ma'am?
Yeah. So brand image is something that, is not created overnight. It takes years for a brand image to be created, and it is something that you keep doing in bits and pieces, on every single day basis, with consistency and perfection, that you can create your own brand image. So it starts right from your name, to the logo, to the colors you're using. You need to have a thought behind every single thing that you're doing for your brand, which is very important, and that kind of creates your brand value. It increases your brand value. The positioning, the way you're positioning your product or service, which is very very important. If all these things are followed right from the beginning, then I'm sure you will create a brand presence. Of Another very very important point I would like to mention over here is identifying the right target audience. Once you've identified your target audience, so if I am, say, um, uh, in a range where I'm selling premium jewelry, then I need to be present in a place where there is a demand for it. So your target audience is first, is you need to identify the right target audience and be present where your target audience is present. So it's not the other way around, but you need to be present where they are. So that's very very important. Another tip from my side here, in terms of the overall branding, and all this really sums up, and all this kind of creates a big impact, and gives your brand a different look, a different personality. Everything that you do needs to have that, needs to speak that language. Your grammar of communication, very very important. uh, so all this kind of sums up to making a successful brand, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes years for it to happen. It takes months, it takes years. But consistency and persistence in your communication, the right communication for the right target audience, is most important in this.
Okay, ma'am. So I have one last question, ma'am. Um, how can businesses test their brand perceptions, ma'am?
You were a little unclear. Can you just come back with the question? Can you repeat the question,
Yes,
Nancy?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. How can businesses test their brand perceptions, ma'am?
Okay, so brand perception is another thing. There, could be done through a market research agency. So if you really want to find out how your brand is doing and where your brand is standing in front of the competition, or what is the perception that your consumer is having about your brand, then one should go in for a detailed market research. There are mystery audits. There are a lot of tools available now in the market, where you can do a detailed market research and find out what people think about your brand.
Thank you for all the answers, ma'am. I'm sure this would be an informative and useful session for all the viewers. Thank you for joining us today, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Maha, and thank you so much, Nancy. And you can check out our website. It's www.thinkcreativeindia.com. Any kind of branding solutions and marketing solutions that you need, we are always available. Thank you so much. Thank you, Maha, for this opportunity. It was really a pleasure to share some tips out of my experience, and I hope it helps entrepreneurs to take their brand to the next level. And for any help, I am always available.
That's wonderful, Vidula. I think you have given the push for entrepreneurs to think about branding, right? Not many people think about it. I think this is the best time for people to make use of their business branding. And when it comes to business owners, branding is the important thing. They cannot ignore it. So your
Yes,
insights were really good, and I hope our viewers would, watch the program again to apply it, not just to view, but then apply the tips that you have given now. Yeah. So thank you, Vidula, for being with us today. I look forward to another interesting session with you very soon.
sure. Thank you so much, and congratulations to Women Entrepreneurs India once again for the fantastic launch in Mumbai and Pune,
Thank you so much, Vidula.
and many more such launches to come.
Thank you, Vidula, and wishing you all the best as well.
Thank you so much.
So up next we have our next speaker. She's Miss Payal Parikh of A&B Legal. So Nancy, could you please run through her profile?
Yes, ma'am. Pyle heads the real estate, infrastructure, and banking practice of the firm. Pyle has extensive experience and has worked closely with sponsors and project developers, governments, banks, and financial institutions, contractors, and other consultants. She has experience in advising clients on various aspects of developing infrastructure projects and manufacturing facilities, equipment procurement, construction, and service arrangements. She has advised on various projects on a PPP model in roads, ports, water, and waste sectors. She has experience in drafting and negotiating finance agreements and handling project finance transactions. She also has an experience in heading various real estate deals pertaining to transfer of freehold and leasehold land, developing agreements, slum rehabilitation schemes. She also has vast experience in advising on joint ventures, strategic alliances, cross border investments, venture capital investments, downstream investments across various sectors. She advises clients on day to day aspects of corporate laws and regulatory issues. She also has advised various startups for their incorporations, compliances, angel and seed funding due to diligence valuations, etc. Prior to joining the firm, she has held diverse posts in her decade-long career, including being a partner at M. Dhruva and Partners, Deputy General Manager of Wellspun Group, heading the infrastructure and textile arm of the group. She has also been associated with law firms like Dua Associates and Kanga and Co. and companies like the Lodha Group of Companies and Suzlon Energy Limited. Over to you, ma'am.
Payal, please switch on your video.
Hi everyone, good morning.
Good morning, Payal. Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs India's launch of WEI in Mumbai and Pune. We are happy to have you with us today. We look forward to your insightful session.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Nancy, please go ahead with the questions.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, my first question is, how or what led you to the establishment of A&B Legal, ma'am?
Okay, so like you mentioned my profile, I am in practice since 20 years now. So after having worked with various law firms and the um, in-house as an in-house lawyer as well, we just thought that we should just have our own setup and get a establishment so that we can work towards and help the entrepreneurs because we also started on our own, so we thought that we should also start helping our fellow women and other entrepreneurs who are basically not very well aware of the legal aspects and laws, and they kind of get into they need more advice and mentoring for all these things. So that was the main idea behind establishing and getting the A&B legal setup like 7 years back.
Okay, ma'am. So my next question is, why do you think an organization structure is important while starting a business, and how can one build an economical organization structure?
So, organization structure, it is very important to have a clear idea as to what role each one of you will be playing. So, if there are entrepreneurs, two people getting together, they will have to play on their own strengths, and they will have to find out what each of one of them are good at, and that is why the organization structure is very much necessary, in the sense that, okay, one person would have to do only, say for example, only do marketing, the other person would invest only in technology, or and so that is the reason that organization structure, to play on your strengths and to capitalize on your abilities and your interests, would be very important.
Okay, ma'am. My next question is, ma'am, what is the eligibility for a startup, and what are some tax incentives for the same, ma'am?
um,
Can you hear me, ma'am?
yes, I can. So eligibilities for the startups are, um, uh, one, the startups are defined actually by the Make in India policy that the government has rolled out, and according to that, the startup is something which is into it has a new idea of business, and it has just it's not into operations for more than 3 years. So that is the whole, and that if they get into they fall into this criteria, they will be able to get different benefits out of different registrations and the incentive links, plans and systems and policies that the government has rolled out. There are tax incentives, but uh, to be honest, I'm not a tax lawyer, so I may not be able to tell you in detail about it. But there definitely are some tax incentives which are provided to the startups by the government.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, the pandemic has put a lot of businesses at stake and put incomes in jeopardy. So, can you please give us some ideas on like how businesses can tackle the issue of delayed payments?
So there there are lot of there are incentives which are actually rolled out by government again, uh, because of the pandemic. There are rebates given by the government in terms of a lot of uh, payments and all those things. There are, for example, in for an MSME, there is a MSME whichever establishment is registered as an MSME can be given are provided certain incentives under the MSME scheme, and they can go under those schemes, and the delayed payments, they can there are redressal provisions which are provided, which are much more faster in terms of getting the um, uh, payments released, and that's and instead of going to the courts and getting into a legal long run battles. um, there are something like even for loan repayment, the government has come out with policies for giving rebate over the payments. So there are a lot of things that the government keeps coming out with, and so that the small enterprises or the smaller establishments do not get into troubles. However, when the other thing that to keep in mind always is that your contracts which are executed, where there are payment schedules put up. I mean, two private parties would have contracts which will have, say, 30-day period for the credit period for payments. It is necessary that the parties get onto the table and agree and decide as to what they want to get into. They may have to amend the contract or agree on emails and everything, that okay, fine, the payments, if they are delayed, we are fine with it. And therefore, if there's an agreement between the parties, again, there are no legal battles that people get into. So there are nuances which privately also people can take care of, and there are obviously government linked incentives also which are there. So that's how you can tackle it. Is there anything else, Nancy? Nancy? Um, Hello?
Payal, you can go ahead sharing your views. I think Nancy is facing some connectivity issues.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can go ahead with your thoughts related to
Um,
business legal aspects.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. This. So the thing is that there would be many aspects legally that small enterprises and the startups will have to keep in mind while they actually establish and start running their business. Obviously, people have many ideas. They would have a lot of uh, uh, ideas that they would like to put up as a business model, and uh, the the whole objective is that can they put up these ideas into running a business. So I will just touch base upon a few aspects where um, basic aspects of legalities of different things, where it would just help the startups or the enterprises who are intending to start their own businesses. So the first thing that comes to your mind is what kind of legal entity that you would like to set up. So there are different forms of entities that a startup can set up. It could be either a partnership firm or a limited liability partnership or a private limited company. So obviously each one of them have their own benefits and drawbacks, and so I'm not touching it like in detail about it, but the most preferred usually are the LLP and the private limited companies, because the whole idea of these two setups is limiting the liability of the partner or the shareholder into the LLP or the private limited company, as the case may be. The drawback that we generally the startups find in these two kind of setups is because there are a lot of compliances that uh, need to be taken care of while they have set up these setups. The easiest obviously is always the partnership firm, uh, where just the two partners get together and it is mostly governed by your partnership contract, and there are no compliances per se that need to be uh, followed. However, the major drawback, in fact, in the partnership is that the liability of the partners is unlimited. So these are the kind of setups that we can look at, an entrepreneur can look at while getting their setup done. So, like I mentioned earlier to Nancy as well, there are certain registrations that can be taken by the startups, which one of them is under the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, which recognizes startups, and they get certain benefits. So something like low rate of interest on loans, or there's a rebate in patent filing, and certain things, credit guarantees in fund schemes, etc., etc. There's another registration that the entrepreneurs can look at is the MSME registration. Again, there are benefits linked to it. There are a lot of benefits which I'm just not getting into, but yeah, like Nancy had asked me if there are income tax exemptions, and yes, there are income tax exemptions. There are other incubation schemes, etc., which are available for them. So these are the registrations that I was talking, incentive linked registrations that an entrepreneur can look into. There are certain registrations and licenses which are statutory, which are required for the businesses to run. So very common, obviously, which everybody would know would be a PAN and a TAN. If the enterprise is into import-export, then IEC code will be required. There is a shops and establishment registration will be required, which is for establishment to run its business through in a particular place of business. There's obviously a GST registration. There are other specific business-related registrations that may be required. Something like if you're into manufacturing, you may require a manufacturing license. If you're into environmental business, then you may require environmental clearances for the air pollution or the water pollution acts and all those things. So these are the statutory licenses that are very much important and required. And you cannot run the business without these licenses. Like I was mentioning, while there are the LLPs and the private limited companies that are set up, there are compliances which need to be followed by these enterprises. So the major compliance, like I was mentioning, would be under the Companies Act. If it's a private limited company, these are the secretarial compliances. There would be obviously be tax related compliances to file the returns, to get the accounts in place, and all those things. There would be labor law compliances. There are 4 codes, labor codes that are put up in that have been put up, which summarizes the labor, the welfare code, the payment of wages, and everything put together. There are compliances under these labor codes, which are maybe maintaining your registers, getting your records in place, having the minimum wages, payment of bonus, benefits of under maternity act, and there are loads of other things that need to be complied with depending on how they are applicable to each of these enterprises. Not all of them may be applicable. The eligibility criteria are different, and each businesses will have to look into it and figure out whether each of these labor codes or any of the other business specific regulatory statutes are applicable to each of them. For example, if it's an e-commerce activity, e-commerce rules will have to be complied with. And they also keep evolving, so there would be a lot of rules. So recently, some rules have come out which states that the grievance redressal forum need to be put up into wherever there is a e-commerce platform which is being run by a company. Which this obviously helps the consumers and the users to redress their grievances immediately and much more faster than usual. So there are, like I'm saying, there are a lot of statutes which will have to be looked into by the enterprises, and they will have to figure out which law, which statute would be applicable, and accordingly get their licenses, get their compliances in place. All these compliances and licenses are very important when obviously people are when the enterprises are even looking at investors to invest into their business. So then coming to how you run the business, there are obviously, you will have to get into agreements with a lot of people. There are key agreements that usually the enterprises, the startups get into are the major one is the non-disclosure agreement. You have an idea, you need to protect it. You have your own set of business know-how which you need to protect while you are discussing your businesses with people, and that is the reason you enter into a non-disclosure agreement with whoever you deal with. The second part is obviously when you are employing the employees. There are appointment letters or the employee contracts or the agreements which are very important, because like I mentioned, there are labor codes which would be applicable. Your employee contracts will have to be in consonance with these labor codes that are applicable to you. There would be vendors from whom you will procure either the products or the services. So there would be vendor contracts, there would be service agreements. These agreements will have to be dealt with in such a way and drafted in such a way that all your concerns are taken care of. Basic things like payment schedule, the credit period, the indemnity, the governing law. So there are two aspects of it, the business aspect and the legal aspect in any contract. The business aspect obviously would be something which the enterprise will have to look into and find out what their need is. The legal aspect will be always governed by the statutes and the laws of the land, which is where we come in play, and we advise the startups and the enterprises into getting these contracts in place. Where the business aspects are concerned, we translate them into the agreements and put them into in proper form in the agreement, so that in future we avoid any kind of legal battles. Then there are consultants who you would like to appoint consultants and the advisors. There would have to be a proper state of agreements with them, because that will outline what kind of consultancy services that they are providing, what kind of what payments are you going to pay, and when are you going to pay. There could be a possibility that you are providing some stock to them. So all these nuances will come into that agreement. Then, like I mentioned, you will have your business know-how. You would like to protect them. So you will have your trademark registrations, your copyright registrations, or if you are into a technology or something, that you could have your patent registered. These things are very important because it helps you protect your own business and your ideas. When it comes to e-commerce, there would be terms and conditions and privacy policy which are very important, that are to be laid down clearly on your platforms, because these are the ones which will govern the relationship between you as a company, as an enterprise, and the user of the platform. And in case of any kind of dispute or anything, these terms and conditions will prevail over everything. Obviously subject to the laws that are applicable. So drafting of these terms and conditions on your platform and the privacy policy is very crucial, because that is the only set of agreement between you and the user. So these were the kind of agreements that generally an enterprise will have to get into, while starting the business. Uh, um, then, like I also mentioned, that there would be uh, private equity or funding that may happen, and that is why all these compliances and everything would be very necessary. So while there would be angel investors who would like to invest into your company, there could be so how they start the whole process is that they would have the investors would have a term sheet and commit to investing into your enterprise for an X amount, and would have certain rights that they would want with your company. They will also perform a due diligence to actually uh, find out the health of your company, which is basically whether you have been complying with your laws, complying with your with maintaining all the records, doing everything as per the statutes and as per the laws. So that due diligence becomes very important for the investor, and that is why initially the company or the enterprise will have to maintain everything in order, so that the diligence which is performed by the investors, they are quick, and it doesn't take time. That is where we come into play, where we can help you in uh, doing a kind of an internal check on the company. So we perform an internal diligence so that when the investors come in, uh, they do not take too much time in performing the diligence, so that does not delay your investment process. The whole idea of this is that your funding is not delayed or stalled for any reason. Obviously there would be a lot of negotiations on your definitive on your agreements. There are agreements which you would generally get into would be a shareholders agreement, which will have the rights which are provided to the investors. There are certain rights, like an anti-dilution provision, or they would put in a lock-in on the founders for not to dilute their stake, because they believe in the founders. They do not want the founders to leave the company. So and that is the reason that they would want the lock-in on the founders stake in the company. They would want exit rights. They would want non-compete from the founders. These are the basic things that the investors will require into a company while investing in your company. Um, yeah, I think I have covered most of the things. If there is anything else that somebody would like to question, I am available to answer.
Sorry, ma'am, there were some network issues.
No problem.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you for joining us today, ma'am. I think all the entrepreneurs out there and all the viewers would have been, this session would be very useful and informative for them, ma'am. We are very happy that we had you today on this Entrepreneurship Day.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, Mahalakshmi, for this opportunity. And I wish the Women Entrepreneurs India uh, to set up their launch in Mumbai and Pune very well. And yeah, if there are any other questions or if you need any assistance, I'm available. You can get my contact details from WEI, World Men's Office. and you can visit our website on at www.amlegal.in.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. So up next we have Dipali ma'am with us. She is the founder of D Meher Arts, and her artworks are ink paintings, ink black and white paintings. Ma'am, can you please switch on your camera?
Hi, good morning.
Hi, ma'am. How are you, ma'am?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
I'm
Can you
doing
hear
good,
me?
ma'am. Thank you. Um, yes, ma'am, I
Can
can.
you? Yeah, okay, great.
Can we go ahead, ma'am?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, ma'am. So I have like a couple of questions for you, ma'am.
For me?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you. You can go ahead.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Um, so my first question is, what or who was your inspirations to start your business, ma'am?
So, the inspiration to start the business was basically soul satisfaction. So I got into the field with the idea that this is what I want to do till lifelong, till I die, and I should start now. So I started not with the, having it as a business in my mind, but having it as something that, will probably grow into a business. So I would want to retire with it. So basically, that is what it was. Nancy, I think there's a network issue. Okay, so I'll continue till Nancy, you can come in and then ask me another question. So I'm basically a commercial artist. I'm a trained applied artist from JJ School of Arts, and for 23 years I've been doing jobs, freelance work. I've been an illustrator with Indian Express, and I've also shifted my let's say expertise into motion graphics. Also, I've worked with Times Now Television. I've done a few videos. So after doing all of these commercial kind of projects where I was working on somebody else's brief, somewhere I felt I needed to give expression to what I was thinking, and that's how the whole concept of D Meher art came about. And D is just a short form for my full name, which is Dipali. I didn't want a long signature, which is why I made it D Meher art. And it has been quite a slow process, but a very wonderful process till now.
Okay, ma'am. So my next question is, what art style do you identify the most with? And in your opinion, how can women start their own set business, ma'am?
So when I started out, I was very taken aback by one artist called MC Escher. So his style is very illusionistic. It is very stark black and white, and he used to do etchings. And his work used to be like a bird would turn into a fish would turn into a building would turn into something else, and it was very breathtaking. And that is what kind of influenced my earlier works. So when you see my earlier works also, you will see that kind of a style reference to it. And then as the years passed by, as time went on, I have slowly moved more towards simplicity, and I see a lot of Chinese calligraphy kind of influence in my work. and I really enjoy it, because from doing complicated work to doing, simple strokes, like simple one stroke paintings in which you can convey so much. And that is what the Chinese artists do, the calligraphers do. So my motivation is now more towards simplicity. So I would say these are the two distinct art styles that I have been influenced by.
Okay, ma'am. So my next question is
And
like, how do you deal with an artistic block? And yes, ma'am.
yeah, I actually missed out on your second half of the question, the earlier question. So let
Sorry,
me
please go
answer
ahead,
that.
ma'am.
Yeah, so you had asked me ki, should women get into business? I would say yes, definitely get into business. And I would say choose to do something which you love to do. And you will enjoy it. And don't put like a gun to your head and give like kind of crazy deadlines, because as women, people, like, you balance life as well as this thing. So two, three things I had kept in mind is time management, money management, and giving like not putting pressure on myself, just enjoying how the business takes by itself. But definitely something everybody should do. So that was the second part of the question. um, can you ask me the last question you asked me, Nancy? I think you had asked me about the artist block.
Ma'am, sorry for
Right.
that. There was a network issue.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So about the artist block. So yeah, that is quite a difficult phase in an artist's life, and it can get very irritating. And so when I went through it, I realized that I went through it because I refused to put onto paper what I was feeling, and I felt what I was feeling was not going to, look nice on paper. So I refused to do the paintings. And after being really like in turmoil from inside that I can't paint the way I wanted to paint, I finally, a friend told me, you have to just let it out and just do it, and do not judge what comes out. So I did it, and it was such a relief. Like, I know what came out on paper was like not beautiful, let's say, but that was me judging myself. So I stopped. I said, I will not judge, let it come out. And then the other thing I also realized is that, I was holding myself back, and I was worried about the outcome. So the minute I said I'm not going to be worried about the outcome at all, then it doesn't matter. And it just opened up. Like, my artist block just went. So it did take like a few months for my paintings to come up to the level where I was expecting it to go. But I think I needed to go through that whole process of ruining some papers, wasting some colors and everything, and basically put out what I was feeling out onto the paper. And then it was released. So it was quite a bit of a learning phase for me. So I think if you get in touch with what you're feeling and not judge it and put it out on paper, your artist block will move. It will take you to a different level. Nancy?
I'm sorry, there was some network interruptions.
Yes.
I have another question. Like, how long does it take to complete a painting, ma'am?
How long does it take complete a
How
painting?
long does it take? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so on painting to painting, my style of working is I start on something, and then once I say, okay, I can't go beyond this, then I start on either another one or I leave it for a while. and then get back to it in some time. So there are different ways. There are like two distinctive styles that I work in. One is a pen and ink, and the other is a system called as mark making. Now, what happens in mark making is it's a one stroke kind of a work. So that happens very quickly because it's just like a pouring out of emotion that you're feeling something and it just comes out like this in a stroke. So that's very fast. The other one, which is the pen and ink, which is absolutely intricate work. So that can go on to like a week or 2 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks. But then what I do is I kind of have two, three works going on at the same time. So if I feel like, okay, I'm blocked here, I don't know how to go ahead with this one. I'm a very intuitive painter, so I don't have the full image in my head all the time when I start. So if I feel somewhere midway I'm blocked, then I stop that and then I start something else, and then maybe again come back to the earlier one. So not like a set time frame, but yeah, it can depend from like a week to whatever, 2 weeks.
Okay, ma'am. So my next question is, ma'am, how according to you can artists influence the society?
In a big way. Like they say, like a painting is worth 1,000 words. So artists have a very huge, powerful tool, in fact, where they can move people and they can open up somebody's mind to new ideas. They can make someone think through their paintings. And imagine if an artist can do that with one of his works, okay, to one person. Imagine 10 people or 100 people coming to that exhibition, seeing that work, talking about it, having a conversation around it, and changing the thought processes in the positive way according to what they've seen. So, if the 100 people have changed their thought processes in a positive way, it is obviously going to impact the society. And this power is there in a painting, in an artist's painting. So, um, like I think there are two kinds of artists. One is the kind who wants to show beauty, and the other one is an activist. And we have a lot of activist artists around the whole world, and they bring about the problems of the world out through their pictures. They make statements, and these kind of works are noticed, are talked about, do make movements happen, and this is how these artists contribute to the society. And then there are the other kind of artists who want to do beautiful things, who want to beautify their surroundings. And this is where, like the local wall murals come into place, where in a city you have this empty walls and then the artist comes and paints on it. So we call it sometimes graffiti, we just call it wall murals, whatever. So any passerby who's going around, like in this, come on, cities are grey. Like you see so much color on a wall mural, it just makes you happy. And this all happens at a subconscious level. We don't realize it, but what you see does impact how you feel. So even if you're passing by in a grey city where there's so much pollution and you see a wall which has like a nice beautiful painting of the sea with ships and all, which is actually there in Bombay, you're just happy for that second, for that moment. You just feel happy. So that is the impact artists can have on society. Um, then I think around Mumbai, around the outskirts of Mumbai, I think Vikhroli suburbs, there is this slum and it's up on a mountain hill. And there have been this gang of artists who've come together and who have painted those walls of those slums. And when you pass by on the road, you see all these beautiful, colorful patches on the hill. So they've really done something beautiful out of something which was probably ugly earlier. So this is how an artist can change society and can change, a person feels. There's a lot of power, like I said earlier, in the artist's work. They just need to put their minds together and see where they can make an impact. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, ma'am. So, like, how has the pandemic affected the art industry, ma'am?
So I think the start everybody was disappointed, because we had art fairs happening. We had Indian art fairs, we had international art fairs which were booked, and they all had to be cancelled. And what happens at the art fairs is you get collective business at one, at like, in within those 4 5 days you can do a whole lot of business. But so a major point of earning got shut down. The second thing that happened was people interact a lot during exhibitions, during these art fairs. So the interaction cut down completely. The exposure to newer audiences, that got shut down. So basically, this is what happened. But the other way of looking at it was that the artist bounced back immediately with what's happening now. Like they start there, most of them have gone digital. Even the galleries, even the museums, they immediately, I think within a month, 2 months, whatever, they all got onto the online platform. So artists were holding workshops, artists were showing off, demonstrations online on webcams. So they also motivated a lot of people who were sitting at home in lockdown and who were getting bored. I think they motivated a lot of people to get in touch with their, artistic side. So a whole different world, I think, opened up for the artist. And earlier, probably like me myself, I was not so tech savvy. I wasn't so much on Instagram, or I wasn't promoting myself online at all. I just had one site and I had left it to that. But now, after like 8 9 months of this lockdown, I have realized I need to get into the online business also. So it has opened up a new way, and I think possibly this is also the future way, because it's a lot less of expenditure than you would have by physically going to a different country, carrying those works, staying there. So all of those expenses get cut down, but online itself you can show it to the whole world. So that realization has happened. So that was one thing that happened. The second thing that happened in the whole of the art world was art galleries were holding a lot of webinars. So we had artist discussions happening. So even if an artist was in Delhi, if he was giving like a physical lecture, probably wouldn't have been able to attend. But because it was online, everybody all over India could attend. So that was another good thing that happened. So I think it worked in a good way. And although the joy of looking at something actually which is in front of you is different from what you see digitally, but I think this acceptance, we need to accept that these are the times, and this is how we need to modify ourselves. And I'm actually waiting to go back to the earlier old times where, there were physical interactions, there were conversations like that, and you could actually go and look at a painting from close by, touch it, texture, whatever. I mean, I used to enjoy those things, and there used to be a different vibe when there were like 100 people in an exhibition or an art fair interacting. So I guess I'm missing the vibe, but adaptability is what is needed, and I think the artists have adapted pretty well. So that is how I think the pandemic has been affecting the art industry. Nobody, I think, has gone completely down. Everybody has picked up by now, and everybody is learning new skills.
Okay, ma'am. I think even though the situations are not good, I think this new platform would give huge success for all the artists. So I have one last question for you, ma'am. Um, what are some of the current trends in the art world, ma'am?
So current trends in terms of the artist, in terms of the way he shows or presents his art, I think a lot of people are moving into, what can I say, understanding new materials, and giving out a new way of presenting. So it's we have moved a very long way from, just doing paintings by hand and showing it on paper, canvas. We have moved to new mediums, digital mediums. We have also moved into natural mediums. So that's another way that the artists are now going with all this environment issues coming up. A lot of artists are also using nature related like barks of trees as a medium to showcase the art or to make a statement. That is something nice that is happening around the world. And we have already moved more into sculptures, bigger things to do. And then there's this different area which is called a performance art also, which is, it includes art and music and drama. So it's a way of expression. So this is what is happening. So basically, even if you're doing a canvas painting, there will be like a mixture of some other thing onto it to make it look different. So what is new that you're offering? So I think that is the trend right now, like offering something new.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for like giving us this nice talk, ma'am. Can you show us some of your products, ma'am? We would love to see them.
Yeah, sure. It is my pleasure actually, to be here and having this as a platform. So I will just show you. So I was talking earlier about mark making, and let me explain to you what that is. So artists express, and sometimes you express in the form where it is understandable for the viewer. Sometimes it is just a stroke of brush. So this is one of those you can see. So I call this stop. It is just a stroke of brush, but it gives the expression of something that was moving with such speed, and it has just come to a stop. So that is what I was feeling at that moment, and this is the simplistic way that I could come up with to express it. Then in the same series, there is this. So sometimes, like I was talking about the artist block, and I was talking about, how do I express? I don't know what's going to come out. So this is one of those. I have expressed, and this is what has come out. So this is mark making. When your expression comes out onto page. Now this is another kind of mark making. So here I have used feather instead of a brush to do this painting of a bull, and I'm calling this a flying bull. Although bulls are supposed to be heavy, like I'm using the metaphor, like anything heavy doesn't have to be heavy, it can be light also, which is why the feather was also used, so the texture has been done by the feather in the middle. Then there are these other paintings which are the beautiful swan, you can see. This is another in the series of swans. And this is a mixture of my two styles. So one is the style, if you can see here, this is like the pen and ink style, this corner or this black and white stuff, and this over here is a splash of ink which I've used. So this is the painting, and this is the other series. This is again mark making, and I'm calling this the dagger bull. Then this is, I'm calling it the pencil bull, and this is the shy horse. So that was one kind of style that I worked in. And this is the other style of art that I work in, which is the pen and ink style. And this is where the intricate work comes in. This is where I was talking about, my influence of MC Escher, who was doing illusionistic work. So here, as you can see, the outside form is that of a bull. And there is a bird sitting on the horn of the bull over there, and there's a lot of detail work that has gone in. Like there's a lot of shading, there's a lot of intricate twining of lines. So this kind of work takes a lot of time. So in the similar style, there is this one. I'm calling this the horse. In the similar kind of thing, I'm calling this also. This is also a bull. So if you can see, the outside form is a bull, and the inside is all intricate work. You can see leaves, you can see dots, you can see squares. So it's a formation of a lot of things that come together to make, one outside form. These are parrots. There you can see the details, the family of parrots. And then I have this, my very close to my heart series, which is the bird series. Here, if you can see, Those are birds flying up in the sky. And these two, which I call the meeting point. So these are some of the framed works that I'm showing you right now. This is again a pen and ink work. Yeah. And this is again a pen and ink work. And this is again an ink work, but these are copper inks. Copper, like it's got a little bit of metal used. So the inks are kind of metallic inks. So those are the kind of variations of work that I have. And if you want to see more of my work, then you can see it on dmeherart.com. That's my website. And if you want to, then you can get in touch with dmeherart@gmail.com.
Check.
And I also have which is
No, it's okay. Why? Hello?
Sudeepa ma'am, can you please off your mic?
Can you hear me? Hi, can you
Yes,
guys
ma'am.
hear me?
Can you please mute your mic?
Okay. Not right. Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Can you please mute your mic, ma'am?
Sorry.
Thank you, ma'am. Uh, Dipali ma'am, thank you for joining us today. We are very glad that we had you today on this special Women Entrepreneurship Day. Thank you for joining us, ma'am.
thank you. Pleasure was mine. Thank you very much.
So up next we have Sudeepa ma'am with us. Um, Sudeepa Sanyal is the chief officer and co-founder at the Blueberry Trails. She has been featured in Bloomberg Walk, the Indian startup show, Femina, Time of India, and more. She lives in Goa with her pet Shih Tzu. She also writes fiction, which has been published in the Bombay Review, the Bengaluru Review, Lucky Jefferson, and others. An avid traveler, singer, songwriter, Sudeepa is fond of the slow life. We're happy that we had you today, ma'am. Ma'am, can you hear me? Sudeepa, ma'am? Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, are you there?
Nancy, we're waiting for our guest to join. Please wait.
Okay, ma'am.
To take out time from your busy schedule to grace.
Nancy, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Sudeepa Sanyal is the COO and co-founder at the Blueberry Trails. She has been featured in Bloomberg Walk, the Indian startup show, Femina, Time of India, and more. She lives in Goa with her pet Shih Tzu. She also writes fiction, which has been published in the Bombay Review, the Bengaluru Review, Lucky Jefferson, and others. published
Sudipta, I think she's facing some network issues.
Yes.
an avid
Yeah.
traveler, singer, songwriter.
Nancy, please wait. Let me read her profile. I think there is some connectivity issue at your end, Nancy. Sudipta, just give me a moment. I'm going to read your profile for our viewers.
Sure.
So we are happy to have with us Ms. Sudipta Sanyal, COO and co-founder at the Blueberry Trails. She has been featured in Bloomberg, Vogue, the Indian Startup Show, Femina, Times of India, and more. She lives in Goa with her pet Shih Tzu. That's a very cute name, Sudipta. She also writes fiction, which has been published in the Bombay Review, the Bengaluru Review, Lucky Jefferson, and others. An avid traveler, singer, songwriter, Sudipta is fond of the slow life. I mean, it is so surprising to know that you're fond of the slow life, Sudipta. So, what made you to be fond of the slow life?
Well, I've been mostly brought up in cities. Well, growing up, I did stay in really small towns because my dad was in the army. And then, I lived in Kolkata, I lived in Mumbai for a very long time in my life. And I realized that, being in the city, while you get a lot in terms of opportunities, the kind of people you meet, but a certain kind of mindfulness towards what you want with your life and, where you're heading, this kind of goes out of the window. So after working at the Blueberry Trails for 10 years, both me and my business partner thought that we could also operate this whole brand out of a smaller place. So as of now, we operate out of Mumbai and Goa. I like the fact that when you take things slow, there is a word in Hindi called "therao." There is time to think over where exactly your life is going, your direction. So I guess that's what makes me fond of the slow life.
Awesome, Sudipta. So, what made you leave your corporate job and inspired you to travel the world along with establishing Blueberry Trails?
Well, actually, when we started Blueberry Trails 10 years back, we started it out of a very, a very naive love of travel. I mean, a lot of a lot of people think that, okay, if I like to travel, I want to start a travel company. And when we started it, it was just from that sense of, oh my God, this is the dream life, etc. And and slowly, while we continued with the Blueberry Trails, we realized after a couple of years that this has to be a sustainable business. So then I think it's in a year, 2 years from then is when we started looking at it as a business and started treating it like a business. So, but to answer your question, it really began with a very intense love for the outdoors, love for being out of the city life, to be out there.
Awesome. I think everyone wants to be a globetrotter these days. How, in your opinion, should prepare if they want to travel? Should they prepare if they want to travel, especially in regards to their finances?
Yeah. Hello. Hello.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was asking you,
Yeah.
everyone wants to be a globetrotter these days. How, in
Yes.
your opinion, should prepare? Should they prepare if they want to travel, especially in regards to their finances?
Okay, so I get to hear this a lot that people say, "Oh, you're so lucky you get to travel," but it's not luck, really. It's nothing but careful planning. So I look at it. I look around and I look at many of the travelers who travel with us. I look at my friends. So some people prefer to, buy houses and cars, and some people prefer to, take their backpack and head off. So like
everything that you want to invest in, because I think travel is the best form of modern education. You need to plan for it. So if it requires, have an Excel sheet and say, okay, every month I'm going to set aside this amount of money. And if that means that I'm not going to go for that shopping trip, or if that means I'm not going to, buy XYZ things, and I'm going to put it aside, and I want to go, say, to an Iceland. I know many of our travelers who come here and who do exactly that. They say that, next year, Sudipta, or, they speak to anyone in my team, they're like, I want to do Scandinavia. And for that, how much do you think I need to save? And we tell them, okay, this is the kind of a budget you should be looking at. So they start saving. And that's brilliant, I think, because I think travel is an investment in yourself. And like I just said earlier, it is the best form of modern education. You have these experiences, you experience these different cultures, so different from your own. It gives you perspective towards your life. Many a times I've noticed this in my travelers, I've experienced this myself. I've had that aha moment, that eureka moment that, okay, this is what I should do next about a problem completely unrelated. So yes, careful planning would be the word of the day.
That's great. How do you prepare to give your customers a seamless travel experience, Sudipta?
Well, we've been blessed with a very, very tight team. So we have a team that works endlessly. Right from designing the package, we ensure that our communication is on point. There is nothing that is communicated which is not delivered, because at the end it's all about expectation matching. And we leave bits of the trip unplanned, because we want our traveler to go out there and find that amazing bakery which we didn't recommend. Like, we don't want to recommend everything to you. We need this to be an adventure. So but all of that is managed remotely from our team based out of Bombay. And they are in touch with all our travelers, no matter what the time is. And so we're in touch through WhatsApp, thanks to technology. There's WhatsApp, there's Skype, phone calls. We're in touch with our vendors, of course. And we've also, managed the art of making last moment changes in plans. So if someone says, hey, I want to stay one more day here, or I want to repeat that particular experience, we make that happen. So basically, it's about having a great team and attention to detail. Yes.
Sorry, Sudipta. So how do you make connections and network with hotels, tour guides, etc.? You must be having a network.
Yes. So our portfolio is mostly places that someone from the team has been to. So ideally, we like to go to those places ourselves and make those connections ourselves. But that is not entirely possible, because as of now, we have 40 countries on our portfolio and 400 cities. So it's not possible for us to visit each of those cities. So we also need many of them on trade fairs. There's, the OTM in Mumbai, which is supremely helpful. And also we keep in touch with TripAdvisor reviews of vendors who are vetted by travelers, who've said great things about travelers. And then we start our liaison with them separately. So A, we try to get in touch with them personally. B, we look out for reviews online. C, these trade fairs. D, also recommendations really helps us.
Great, Sudipta. So how has the pandemic impacted the travel industry, and what tips would you suggest for a safe travel in these dire times?
Oh, the pandemic has deeply impacted the travel industry. I think it is one of the industries which has been on the forefront of all kinds of sufferings. Like, we've seen so many airlines shutting shop. It is so sad. We see so many hotels, restaurants really struggling to survive in these conditions. But I think the way to get through this is to keep your costs low, to just survive this wave. And after that, I believe in 2021, it's looking pretty good right now as we speak. Two companies, US-based companies, have come out with vaccine trials which are 95% accurate. So it is looking very, very positive for the next year. if you want to travel right now, for our viewers who are watching, I think destinations in India would be a great bet. You know, do it with trusted vendors, do it with trusted taxi companies, do it with good, well-rated hotels. Visit places which are not crowded, in a sense. So go to the northeast, go to the mountains, and yeah, you should not stop traveling. And but safety concerns, like people have started flying already, you need to wear your kit, you need to wear your mask. Safety comes first, and then good planning always helps.
Absolutely, Sudeepta. I think people are more concerned with safety, and as you rightly said, people have to choose trusted vendors, right? So,
Yeah.
unless other they know the agencies which are like verified agencies, credible agencies, they're not supposed to go to a random person because they may not know whether the individual may be available for the next call, or whether they would respond or not, right? So, it is always
Absolutely.
good to have a trusted travel agency. I think. Blueberry Trails is doing a wonderful job, and getting your giving a lot of experience to people who would love to travel, and I'm sure uh, so many people would love to explore a lot of places through Blueberry Trails. And I thank you for joining us today and sharing valuable insights to our audience. And I wish Blueberry Trails a huge success, and all the best to you, Sudeepta.
Thank you so much for having me here, to you, Malakshmi, and the entire WEI team. And best of luck for your Mumbai and Pune launch.
Thank you so much, Sudeepta. Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Have a lovely day. Bye.
You too, Sudipta. Thank you. I think that was an interesting conversation on the travel industry. So we had interesting speakers this morning, right from branding through legal, through travel, and through art. We have discussed a lot of ideas. We got to know a lot of tips from these experts. I thank all the speakers for giving their valuable time to our WA network and to our audience. So now we would have one more speaker post lunch who is going to talk on intellectual property rights. So watch the space at around 2 o'clock. We'll be sharing the link on the Facebook page, and you could also visit this YouTube channel for the next schedule, which is going to happen between 2:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. We are going to have exhibitors across India. As I told you this morning, we have about 15 plus exhibitors who are going to showcase various products. People are from Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Bangalore, and we have people from a lot of other locations. So they're going to showcase unique products, and they're going to share their journey as well. So watch the space, and let us take a break and join by around 2 o'clock. I would want you to join us by around 2:30. I'm sorry, 2:30. So thank you so much for joining us in this Mumbai and Pune launch of WEI, and I wish all the viewers a great success. So watch the space, and we would come back by around 2:30 for the live stream shopping. You could shop directly, or you could contact the numbers which the exhibitors are going to share. You could also visit womenentrepreneurs.india.com to know more about how Women Entrepreneurs India is guiding entrepreneurs across India. Thank you so much.